To use salt or not to use salt? That is the question. Welcome to the channel where mature adults, especially baby boomers, come to be better prepared for the unexpected and to be happier, healthier, stronger, and perhaps live longer. Today, we are going to break it down whether or not sodium is important. Well, I have to tell you right off the bat, if you didn't have sodium, you wouldn't be alive. Today's conversation is about the 3 electrical essentials in our bodies. When people hear the word sodium, they automatically think of salt shakers and high blood pressure. And that's normal. That's only part of the story, though. Magnesium, potassium, and sodium are electrolytes. An electrolyte is a messenger that carries an electrical charge, a tiny electrical charge, when it's dissolved in the fluids of our bodies. Your body does not run on calories alone. It doesn't even run on food energy alone. It is very necessary to have those electrical charges for the body to function. The plus sign, besides the mineral, means that it has a positive electrical charge. Sodium is written as Na. Na comes from natrium, an old Latin name for sodium. Potassium is written as K, which comes from kalium, an old Latin name for potassium. And magnesium is written as Mg. The 2 plus sign means that the magnesium carries 2 positive charges. These minerals are not just ingredients in sports drinks. They are a part of the way the human body functions. Sodium is essential, not optional. Essential means the body needs something and cannot function normally without it. Sodium helps keep the right amount of fluid in our bloodstream and around our cells, and it helps the nerves to do their job. It also helps the muscles contract, tighten, and release so they can move the body. Sodium also helps move certain nutrients into the cells. The body needs only a small amount, but small does not mean none. The safest way to understand sodium is this: we need some sodium, while too much can create problems. And the goal is not to remove every trace of sodium from our food. It is a microscopic pump that helps charge our cells. Almost every cell has a tiny working part called the sodium-potassium pump. A cell is one of the small living building blocks that make up our body, and the membrane is the thin outer covering of the cell. The pump sits in that covering. It moves the 3 sodium particles out of the cell and 2 potassium into the cell. The word ion simply means a particle with an electrical charge. This pump needs energy, and that energy comes from ATP, which I know you've heard a lot of before. ATP is the small energy packet used by the cells. The unequal movement of the sodium-potassium pump, 3 out and 2 in, helps to create a tiny electrical difference, similar to charging a battery. And your muscles and nerves depend on that difference. Why are we told to cut sodium? If sodium is necessary, then why are we told to reduce it? Like everything else, there is a balance, and there is a certain amount of nutrition for all of the nutritional intake that we have, vitamins and minerals and such. They have a balance, a limit. And when we go beyond that limit, that's when we have issues. Most of us are not getting too little sodium. Most of us are getting far more than the body needs. The CDC reports that Americans consume more than 3,300 milligrams of sodium each day on average. A milligram is a very small unit, and the recommended daily limit is less than 2,300 milligrams for most people age 14 or older. Too much sodium causes the body to hold more fluid, and that extra fluid can increase the pressure inside the blood vessels, creating the high blood pressure that we all are familiar with. The advice is to reduce excess sodium, not eliminate all sodium. The salt shaker is not the whole story. Salt and sodium are connected, but they are not the same thing. Regular table salt is made from sodium and chloride. About 40% of the weight of salt is really sodium. 1 teaspoon of salt contains about 2,300 to 2,400 milligrams of sodium, which is close to a full day's recommended limit, and that's 1 teaspoon. Most sodium does not come from the salt shakers. It's already added to packaged foods, frozen meals, canned soups, sauces, bread, deli meats especially, snacks, and restaurant meals. Reading the sodium line on a food label can tell us more than simply removing the salt shaker. Limiting too much sodium, again, does not mean eliminating sodium. Remember, potassium is written with the letter K because of its older Latin name, kalium. Most potassium is kept inside our cells, while most sodium is kept outside. And the amount of potassium inside a cell is about 30 times higher than the amount outside, that is. The sodium-potassium pump maintains that difference. Potassium helps the nerves to send messages, the muscles to contract, and the cells to function normally. Doesn't that sound familiar? Just like magnesium and sodium? They really must work together. Potassium-rich food includes beans, lentils, potatoes, fruit and vegetables, dairy foods, and nuts. It's good to know which foods have potassium, and that way you can help yourself and help that sodium-potassium balance. It looks like the sun is coming back out from behind the clouds. Where were we? We were talking about that sodium-potassium pump and the good foods that have a lot of potassium in them. Now, people with kidney disease or certain medications, let me back up. The reason I mention that is because we tend to, those of us who are health conscious, tend to look at supplements or look at certain ingredients, certain nutritional components, like the minerals that we're talking about, and think, you know what, I'm going to get some of that. And a little is good, a lot must be better. And we know that it ain't necessarily so, as we say, right? However, it's a serious thing, especially when you have a kidney issue or condition and or you're taking medications. And that's why I mentioned that. Always check with your healthcare professional before you use any kind of supplements. Although the majority of us, particularly in the Western world, are low on magnesium, that everybody's different. And that's why it's good to have your blood checked every now and then, and to eat more fruits and vegetables because they have the minerals in the proper formation, right? The proper balance that we've been talking about. Magnesium, and we're almost finished with this conversation. Magnesium supports more than 300 enzyme systems. An enzyme is a helper that allows a chemical job in the body to happen. And magnesium helps the body produce and use energy. It supports the nerves and the muscles, just like the sodium and potassium. and it takes part in the control of blood sugar and blood pressure. Magnesium is also found in beans, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and dark green leafy vegetables. We'll talk about whole grains at another time. At one time, it used to be extremely healthy, and now maybe not so much. However, grains do have magnesium. Magnesium from food is generally handled differently from a concentrated supplement, like we just said. Large supplemental amounts can cause diarrhea and other problems. People with kidney trouble need added caution that I already gave because their bodies might not remove extra magnesium properly. Food first is usually the best way to go before we start thinking about supplementation. And by the way, that's one reason Juice Plus is so powerful, because it's real food. It's just more nutrition with the balance, with those thousands of micronutrients, including minerals like the potassium and the sodium and the magnesium that we're talking about, in the proper amounts. The key to having the right balance is what we're talking about right now. Sodium, potassium, and magnesium do work together to support our heart, muscles, nerves, the fluid levels, and the blood pressure. And at this stage in our lives, too much or too little of any one of these minerals can affect our strength, our balance, our energy, our blood pressure, and our heartbeat. None of these minerals is the enemy, though. Our bodies need the right amount of each one working together, and the main lesson is balance. Sodium is found mostly outside of the cell. Potassium is found mostly inside, and the difference between the two helps create the electrical conditions used by the nerves and the muscles. Magnesium supports the enzymes and energy reactions that keep the system working. Highly processed foods are usually loaded with sodium, and they usually give us very little potassium or magnesium. Sodium is not the enemy, though, and it is not a poison. And potassium and magnesium are not magic cures either. Each mineral has a job, and the body knows exactly what amounts are right for the body and for you, because you're not just a body, obviously. Essential does not mean unlimited, and limit does not mean zero. What's the smartest plan that protects the whole system? First, read your food labels. Compare the sodium in one serving. It'll blow your mind because it'll say a certain amount within a serving, and then there are several servings in that process, in that package. Second, choose more meals that are made from foods that are close to their natural form. We say that all the time. The closer food is to being in its natural state, the better it is for you, and the more natural it is, the more the body can even recognize. Some of these foods are not even real food, truth be told. Thirdly, include foods containing potassium and magnesium when they are medically appropriate for you. Fourth, ask for professional guidance before using electrolyte powders. Just because it's on the shelf of a health food store does not mean it's something that is good for you, for your body, especially at this stage in your life, in our lives. Just one more thing that I didn't mention before, and that would be diuretics. A diuretic is a medicine that helps to remove water from the body. And these medicines are used for blood pressure or heart conditions. And though if you've got kidney disease, or a heart condition, they can affect the way your body will handle sodium and potassium. And that's extremely important to check out as well. I trust this has been helpful for you in understanding more about the importance of sodium and that it is not the enemy. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just that we get so much of it. You're not a helpless victim, family. Your health is in your hands. Continue to make the small changes one at a time to help prepare yourself, to prepare your health, and to prepare your life for the unexpected. I promise you, that's what we're doing here. We're talking about things that will make a huge difference in how your organs can function when a time of crisis comes or when anything unexpected may come. And that's this whole purpose. I'll see you next time. Peace.